All right, this is Unit 2, Lesson 3, Multiplying Rational Numbers. So our lesson essential question is, what happens when you add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational numbers? Through this lesson, you're going to learn to multiply positive and negative fractions, and then evaluate algebraic expressions with fractions. So multiplying fractions. To multiply fractions, I multiply the numerators, and then I multiply the denominators. So A over B times C over D equals A times C over B times D. Make sure that B or D can't be 0. Otherwise, bad things happen in the universe when you divide by 0. Just don't do it, okay? So for example, 3/4 times 1/2, I multiplied my numerators, 3 times 1, or 3, and 4 times 2, or 8. The green area in the area model below shows the product of 1/3 and 1/2, or 1/6 of the second circle is shaded green. So 1/3 times 1/2 equals 1/6. So here's 1/2. Third, I split that circle into thirds as well. And only one portion of it is covered. Find 1/6 times 2/3. Write the product in simplest form. So 1/6 times 2/3, I multiply my numerators, 1 times 2, my denominator, 6 times 3, I get 2/18, and then I simplify to give me 1/9. We can also find the product of 1/2 times 4/10. So again, 1 times 4 equals 4. 2 times 10 equals 20. Okay. I can then simplify this. They both are divisible by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay. 5/12 times 6/10. 5 times 6 gives me 30. 12 times 10 gives me 120. Okay. I can simplify. They both end in 0. I can cancel out the 0, so I have 3/12, which can still be reduced. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. For C, 3/4 times 8/21. Then I multiply. 8 times 3 is 24. 4 times 21 is 84. They can both be simplified. To 2 over 7. If the fractions have common factors in the numerators and denominators, you can simplify before you multiply. So find each product, write in simplest form. 3/4 times -7/9. So I can notice that 3 and 9 have common factors. I can divide 3 by both of them. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I have 1 times -7 over 4 times 3. This gives me -7/12. You can still multiply through and then simplify. You'll get the same answer. It's just whichever is easiest for you. I find this way easier because then I'm dealing with smaller numbers. For B, 2 1/3 times 2 5/7, I'm going to change both of these back to improper fractions. So 2 1/3 becomes 7/3, and 2 5/7 becomes 19 over 7. I can recognize that 7 and 7 are have common denominators. Mainly, I can divide both of them by 7. So this gives me 1 and 1. Now I have 1 times 19 and 3 times 1. 1 times 19 is 19, 3 times 1 is 3, and then I change it back to a mixed number, or 6 1/3. All right, let's try it. -9/12 times -2/3. So I can notice that 2 and 12 have common factors. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I can also notice that 9 and 3 have common factors. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. This is perfectly acceptable as long as you're not canceling from here to here on your top or just on your bottom. You have to have one top and one bottom, okay? So this gives me 3 times 1. They're both negative, so my answer is going to be positive. So I have 3, and then 6 times 1, which is 6, which still reduces to 1/2. Okay. We could have also reduced 3 and 6, which would have given me 1 and 2, which would have given us our answer. Okay. For 6 9s times 3 11s, and we can notice that 3 and 9 will simplify. So 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. 9 divided by 3 becomes 3. I can also notice that 6 and 3 are going to simplify. 6 will become 2, and 3, what is it, 2? 3 becomes 1. Now when I multiply them, 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 11 is 11. For 2C, I have 3 and 3/8 times 2 and 1/3. So I'm going to change them into improper fractions first. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 3 is 27. So I have 27 over 8 times 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 7/3. Okay. I can notice that 3 and 27 will simplify. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 27 divided by 3 is 9. So now I have 9 times 7, which gives me 63 over 8. So 8 into 63 is 7. Gives me 7, and then it's 56, 63 minus 56, 7. So I have 7 eighths. Okay, so I get 7 and 7/8. Evaluate expressions with fractions. Variables can represent fractions in algebraic expressions. Example 3. Evaluate 1/2 times AB if A equals 6/7 and B equals -4/9. Remember that two variables right next to each other mean that we're multiplying them. Okay, there's an unwritten multiplication sign. So I have 1/2 times 6/7 times -4/9. Of course, I can go ahead and cross simplify. 6 and 9 reduce to 2 and 3. 4 and 2 reduce to 1 and 2. So this gives me 1 times 2 times 2, or 4, and 1 times 7 times 3, which is 21, so -4, 21. Let's try it. X times Y, so I have 3/8 and -2 and 2/9. So -2 and 2/9, so this is 18. This becomes -20 over 9, just so we have it. Okay, so for X, Y, I have 3/8 times -20 over 9. Okay, I can, of course, simplify. 3 and 9 become 1 and 3, and 20 and 8 become 2 and 5. Okay, so this gives me 1 times 5, or 5, this is negative, over 2 times 3, which is 6. For 3b, I have 5, which is really like saying 5 over 1 times 3/8. Okay, there's nothing that I can simplify here, so I do 5 times 3, which gives me 15. 8 times 1, it gives me 8. I can then simplify from there. 8 goes into 15 one time, and I have 7 left over, so 1 and 7/8. For C, I have Y times Z, so -29 over, and then multiplying that times -7/10. Okay, of course I can simplify. 20 and 10 become 2 and 1 respectively. I can't simplify 9 and 7, so I leave everything else the same. 2 times 7 is 14. 9 times 1 is 9. They're both negative, so my answer is positive. 9 goes into 14 one time, and I'm left with 5. So 1 and 5 ninths. Example 4. The first hill on a certain roller coaster is 255 feet tall. The first drop on another roller coaster is about 11/20ths as tall as the first coaster. Find the height of the hill on the second roller coaster. To find the height of the hill on the second roller coaster, I multiply 11/20ths times 255. Okay, so I can simplify 11 over 20 times 255 over 1. 20 goes into 255, so I have 4 and 51. 11 times 51 over 4 times 1 is 5. 61 over 4, or 140 and a fourth. So the height of the drop is about 140 feet. All right, so let's try it. The Willis Tower in Chicago is about 1,450 feet tall. The Empire State Building in New York is about 4/5 as tall. About how tall is the Empire State Building? So I'm going to multiply 1,450 over 1 times 4/5. We know that we can simplify 1,450 divided by 5 is 290. So that's 1. And I multiply by 4, which gives me 1,160 over 1, so just 1,160. For B, the longest suspension bridge in the United States is the 4,260-foot Verrazano Narrows Bridge in New York City. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Tacoma, Washington is about 11/12ths of that length. About how long is the Tacoma Narrows Bridge? So I have 4,260 over 1 times 11/12ths. I know for sure that I can divide these by 2. So 4,260 divided by 2 is 2,130. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I can divide again by 2. This gives me 3, which gives me 1,065. This, in fact, can also be divisible by 3, which gives me 355. 1. When I multiply that times 11, I get 3,905. So this number, it turns out, was divisible by 12. We just didn't know. And that is the end of Unit 2, Lesson 3.